What up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In case you don't know, my name is Huey and I trade stocks and options every single day, even on weekends. So in this video, my brother Sid and I went back and forth in a conversation to answer some questions that we know that many people have when they first get started in investing in the stock market. We understand how scary it can be for people in our community who have no experience investing and who are really scared of losing money and really just like to answer kind of general questions that through our experience we're able to shed some light on. It's super important that everybody knows that the market is accessible to every single person, and and just know that there's people just like you who are putting on, and there's people just like you who can answer questions, right? And I think it's our personal responsibility to lay these foundations so that the future generations don't have these questions and it just becomes a norm for them, right? I'm not gonna give it away. We break it down in the video. So I need two favors from you before you get started. The first one is to like and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in content like this, because it lets me know that you're interested, right? And then it gives me the fuel to kind of put more information like this out there. Secondly, I linked my boy Sid's Twitter down below. He talks a lot about stocks on there. So make sure you follow him, engage with him. He's a delightful human being. All right, let's get started.
Yo, dímelo.
Dímelo,
What up, what up?
muchacho.
How are you, bro?
Aquí, tranquilo, trabajando.
Yo, what a
Work.
day, bro.
Tell me about it, bro. It's been nonstop. I'm so exhausted, man. There's still so much to do, so much left.
Yeah, you still got another couple of hours before you can call it a night, right?
If I do. Part of me wants to just like keep working and not sleep so I can sleep on the flight. But I know I gotta get some rest, man. I'm exhausted, bro. I've been up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every single night. Just working. Speaking of people that are on the other side of the world, operating on their schedule.
How's it going?
It's going, man. And so far, so good. It's stressful. It's stressful. It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's everything all in one.
Yeah.
See quite a few people here.
Yeah. I'm gonna exactly. Gary, Brenda, my boy Matthew, my boy Cabron. I haven't seen Cabron in a long time.
Kev, what's good?
Here. What's up, everybody? We're gonna give everyone a few more minutes just to join in.
Yeah. Get those questions ready because we're eager to help out and get some of these curiosities out of the way and answer some of these questions and hopefully get everybody a little bit closer to the goal. Everybody getting paid on their own accord.
Yeah. Let me jump on Twitter real quick and let people know that we're live right now. Last minute stragglers.
For sure.
Yo, the market on Friday was crazy.
Yeah, and yesterday fucking tore a hole in my soul, you know. But today was a better day, so it's cool. Money and blow. Kev, you would, man. Got my little seltzer water with lime ready. Keep my health up, keep my nerves good.
Health is wealth, bro.
Yes, 100%.
We put in all this hard work, and if you're not living a healthy lifestyle, then are you going to be able to enjoy it? Then what's the point?
Yeah, then it's like, what's the point? Right, absolutely. It's always love, joy, and the health to enjoy it all. Hey, Julie.
So look, Pat hit on SCNS this week. So Pat, for some reason, is always like. He's always on the hot ones. I don't know if
he's quiet. He's quiet. He'd be like, yo, he doesn't say much, and then he'd be like, yo, I made some money because of that tip or that tweet I saw, like, or whatever. And that shit is just always like heartwarming. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like it when people win. I love it. But just for the few people that are here, the 12 people that are in here. What's up, Amina? What's up, Livy? Hey, Ashley. Just so you guys know, basically, the reason why we're doing this is because Huey and I had a conversation the other day. We talk all the time. And one of the things we touched upon was how people that look like us or just young people, right, are just like scared of the market. And a lot of it is based on tales of our parents or uncles or whatever, people in the previous generation losing their shirt, wilding out, but like, and then how people are just scared of it. you know, and it's a few things. It's a lack of familiarity, so fear of the unknown, right? It's not growing up with that example in our household, right? So we just have no knowledge of it, or maybe our parents didn't, and whenever we talked about it, it was like, oh, be careful, you know, be careful, be careful. It's almost like the fucking chupacabra of the cuckoo, right? Like the stock market and shit. So that's why we're doing this. Nobody's trying to forex the situation. You know what I mean? Like it's really not that. So it's just a candid conversation that we're gonna extend between my good brother Huey and I, who happen to be invested in the market in different ways for quite some time now, and learning as we go along, but still doing positive things. Total gain percentages well into the positive numbers. So
It's
get those
it,
questions
it's
ready.
it's interesting because so we had this conversation. I was getting ready to go to the barber shop for the first time in like a year. And so I went to the bank to get cash, and I also went to deposit. They sent me a stimulus check this time. It was a check, so I went to go deposit it. So we ended up going through that part of the conversation. Like, yo, I just got my check. I'm putting it in the bank. That joint's going straight into the market. Like, I'm gonna do something with it. I'm gonna flip it somehow. Um, I uh, like my daughter, like Ava's money is gonna be saved. Like, we're gonna lock their money away, but I'm a little bit more risky. So I'm like, let me see what I can do with it. And so we were
Sure.
talking about how that's a much better approach than, I mean, and obviously we're lucky enough to be able to say, we don't need this money for there's no immediate need for this money right now, so we have the luxury to go put it towards something else. And then we got I think we got quite judgmental for a second.
It wasn't really judgmental. It was more, I think it was partially me being reactive to like, look, man, Twitter is a place where I don't talk much about stocks and stuff, financial stuff on Instagram. I talk about it on Twitter, right? Every platform has its purposes. So when we talk about it on there, it could be like, yo, just putting out a ticker symbol, or it could be like, yo, this is up, or whatever, right? And then before you know it, what I start seeing is a lot of these oh, LLC Twitter, or people, yeah, I'm gonna take this. Here comes somebody else telling me how to take this money and flip it and XYZ, right? And I get it because of like things like, let's say, a forex, right? Which isn't the worst thing in the world. For anybody that doesn't know, forex is foreign exchange. You're literally, money fluctuates in value, right? Like a lot of things. So you're literally buying money cheap and selling it higher. It's the same thing that you do with sneakers and drugs and Supreme clothing and everything else. The problem is how they present themselves to people, right? And they're very just boastful and obnoxious about it almost. And it's like that shit also creates some sort of like stereotype and stigma, you know? But it was that's it's touching on that and how people are just like, here comes somebody else to show you how to flip it. Look, man, I'm born and raised in New York City. I'm 40 years old, right? I've been in sales for about 25 years, but I also have my few years in the street, right? And the truth of the matter is that, yeah, when the first $1,200 got sent out, I thought to myself, wait a minute, yo, just some street shit. I could take this $1,200, buy half a pound of some bud if I got a good connect in Cali, break this shit down to three and a half, and I could turn it into about $5,300. But you can do the same thing with a lot of things, right? And one of those things is stocks. One of those things is options. One of those things is creating a business. You know?
I think last year, if you would have like thrown money at anything in March, like literally anything, you
Mm-hmm.
could have. I mean, most of these things, like I know people that have like 500% return. I know a bunch of people who started last year who literally just parked their money in Tesla and
Yeah.
like 10x their money. Like it went crazy. There's certain things that like last year there was plenty of an opportunity to do it, and there's always an opportunity to do it. And like, I get it because like we're on Instagram and we see people in front of a Lambo that they rented or something, some crazy ass outfit,
Fronting.
talking
Sure.
about, yo, join this, join that. And it's like, yo, you can join, and sure, like maybe there's some sort of value that they'll provide, but to be honest,
Yeah.
like all you really got to do, I mean, the way that I got started, and maybe we could talk about how we got started in it, so that
Yeah,
people know
I was
it's
definitely gonna ask you. Was definitely gonna
yeah,
ask you that. What
yeah.
made you like your first investment? Like, how did it feel? What did you invest in? How long ago was that? You know,
my
tell
my
us
my
about it.
my very first share that I bought, I think I had an account with like E-Trade or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my very first time opening. This is before Robinhood was available,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought Twitter on its IPO.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
and the reason
How
and
much?
the
How much
reason
was
I
it? How much was it? Do you remember?
I don't know. Let me look it up while we talk about it. The
Okay.
reason why the reason and so I went in there with the wrong intention. I'll be very honest. I'm like, all right, I have about $800. Let me just throw it at Twitter. Like I know Twitter's gonna IPO. I love Twitter. I'm on Twitter all day. I use this
Sure.
stuff all the time. This is one of my main sources of communication with my friends and news and all this stuff, and it's evolved obviously in the years. So I know Twitter, quote unquote, right? So for me, it was like very very easy to just say I'm going to jump in on Twitter. So let me look at the price real quick while we're here. And so I bought Twitter on its IPO, and it IPO'd at $45, which is what it's trading at right now. It's like $45.
Right. So it hasn't
um
moved. You haven't made money. You haven't lost money.
so it's gone up and down. So my intention when I first bought it was I'm going to buy it and it's going to double up and I'm going to pull my money out.
Okay.
I'm going to buy it, it's going to double up, I'm going to pull my money out. I want to double my money, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that Twitter didn't move that way, and I don't think IPOs moved that way back in whatever year it was. Let me see what year it is, just for reference. Back in 2013, 2013, November 2013.
Okay.
And so I bought a bunch of shares thinking that I'm gonna hold this for a week or a month, and it's gonna go crazy, and I'm gonna be able to pull the money back out, and I'm gonna be like a genius. My first foray into the market.
Right.
I must have left it in there for like 3-4 months, and it didn't really do much. Like it might have given me a
Sure.
little bit of a return. And I'm
Right.
like very, very, very impatient, and so I took the money out because I'm like, let me see what else I can do with this money, And I've always been someone who's like trying to use their brain power to generate income, right?
Sure.
I like to work. I'm a hard worker, but like I like to use my brain more and work less, right? I've always been like that. So I'm like, so Twitter's not doing it for me. I don't see anything else that's doing it for me. The market for me right now is dead, just because it's too slow for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that I went in there under the wrong pretense and with the wrong intention because, now when I throw money at shares now, I buy in companies that I like. Right now, I have like 4 Apple products in front of me. So I'm bullish on Apple, right? And bullish means I
Right.
have a positive sentiment towards Apple.
Sure.
And now my intention when I buy is like I'm gonna buy these shares and just let them do the work for me. I've already spent the money on these products. I want the company to pay me back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I've made a nice return on Apple this year and last year, and I'm probably never gonna sell. Like at the end of the day, like it took me for me to load up on Apple to realize that this is no longer my account, and I'm not trying to flip it the way that I was back in 2013. This is more
Right.
of I'm trying to build something that at the end of the day I'm just gonna give to my kids. Like that,
Right.
I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just gonna build it and give it to them.
It's generational wealth, right? It's one of the
Absolutely.
ways to build generational wealth. One of the most, the oldest ways of building generational wealth for a lot of people, right? It's only you almost got to think of it like you own part of that business,
Right.
So now you might not be the CEO, you might not be an employee, you might not be the COO, but you own a piece of that business, and the better that business does, the better that your portfolio is going to do, that investment's going to do, right? For me, I think it was my brother. The first thing that I invested in was Facebook, right? This was 2012. Um, there's a move that I regret, and I'll talk about that later. But so my brother calls me. He was like, "Yo, we're gonna buy Facebook stock, right?" He's like, "Don't pull out any money. Don't invest any amount of money that you're not okay with losing, right?" This is 2012. I'm like, "All right, I'm doing all right for myself. Fuck it. Here's $1,000, right?" Tells me, he's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll handle the whole thing," right? Yo, that IPO'd at $32. It's at $265 right now,
Yeah.
right? So when you look at it, my thought back then was, all right, what needs to happen, doing the math, what needs to happen is that this needs to hit $450 a share. Because if it hits $450 a share, I would have turned $1,000 into $10,000. That was my thinking. So at the end of the day, it's not there, right? But I've turned that $1,000 into about $6,000, 5,000 and change. And you know what? If tomorrow I feel like selling that shit, it's like, all right, cool, go ahead. But what's the thinking? Facebook ain't going anywhere. Everybody uses it. It might not skyrocket, but it damn sure ain't gonna tank. And
Right.
the interesting part is that I've also seen it go to 280 and back down to 150 and almost get like shaky warrior about it because I'm like, no, I'm losing. But the truth is, I was still making money. 5 times over. You know what I'm saying?
You're
Like
still
it
up
went
on
from
your
30
original
to 1.
investment.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So then it's like, all right, cool. And then it's just the patience, right? Just chilling out and saying, all right, cool. This is right. Like, obviously, there's some things that are dropping and you got to take your gains. And some things are dropping, but you understand their place in the world that we live in, and you just leave it there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that move, whether it's because it made money and I took the advice of my brother, whatever the case may be, but that move let me know, yo, this is very possible, right? And so when I mentioned earlier, like generational stuff or our parents and things like that, right? I told you the other day, I'll say it again because everybody's watching. So I'm invested in Disney, right? And at that time, I'm telling you, it's one of those things that I'm like, I wish I would have bought more. Right? I think we have that feeling often. I wish I would have bought more because we're in a positive, right? If I would have bought more, I would have made more, you know? And I asked my mom one day, I was like, yo, let me ask you a question. Was $200 a lot of money for you and Papi back then? And she's like, no, why? And I was like, man, you guys didn't think about buying Disney shares and I said to
Yo.
her, I said, if you would have invested $200 in Disney shares 38 years ago, $200, which is like a night out. It's a $200 date, right? If you would, obviously we're talking about 1982, right? But still, that's why I asked, was it a lot of money for you guys and at that time, right? And she told me no, and I was like, yo, if you would have invested 200, you would have had about 27,000 right now off of those $200. And she was like, you know, the crazy thing the crazy thing about you bringing up that company is that we were deciding between Disney and either like Pampers or whatever, one of them diaper companies at the time, parent companies, right? And to this day, she don't even want to hear me tell this story anymore because she regrets it, you know?
I heard her the other day.
Yeah. She's like, yo, can you stop telling that story? But that's the truth, you know what I mean? Like, we definitely have to like have this little bit of foresight, right? I'll ask you, what when you're obviously options is a particular thing, stock is a different thing, right? Aside from reading the charts, right, which you had to get to the point of like, I'm going to immerse myself in this. I'm going to take the initiative to learn about this in a way where I can really, really understand it, right? But obviously at that point, you're past beginner level, right? You're like moving into an intermediate kind of phase of your investing, right? What in buying stocks, for everybody that's watching, for the 28 people that are watching, what is one of your keys, like your personal approaches to choosing a company to invest in? What are you looking at?
It's funny because I've been having this conversation like in more detail and more depth more recently. So I trade options. So I started by, you know, I think Tesla was the one that really ignited it for me because I bought Tesla at like 400 and in January of last year. It was like 450 or something like that, and it doubled in a month. And I didn't take any money out because I'm like, Tesla's gonna go to whatever amount of money is gonna go to, and then we had the crash, and I was worried about things in the real world, and I took my eyes and my consciousness off the market, and all of it went down, and then it went down and went back up or whatever. I got started in June actively investing, and around May, June, and around that time I was just like just trading penny stocks because I'm like, all right, like I can take $100 and make 10% on it. 10% on my $100 in like 30 minutes, and if I can do that every day for the next 30 days, then I can get a nice return on my time. And it was kind of empty and baseless back then because like I didn't know any of the companies. I was just following call outs. Like I was just learning kind of like how to track the movements and stuff like that. It was just fun to me, right? It was just like a kind of a game. And
for everybody, call outs is basically like, you know, things that analysts are saying, hey, this is going to do well, right? Okay. I just want everybody to, you know.
So thank you for that. And yeah, I gotta remember to bring it back down sometimes. Yeah, so you know, and even then, like I was like, all right, let me cash out, let me use my cash, let me take my cash and flip. I was still like trying to flip the cash as much as I can.
Right.
And lately, in the past like 3 or 4 months, I've been making profits and taking profits, making profits playing options, which can be considered, you know, it's very risky, can almost be considered gambling if you're not very thorough in your research. And so what I've been doing is I've been taking a lot of the profits and parking it into companies that I want to own for the long term.
Yeah.
which ends up being safe. And so for me, how do I analyze a company? What makes me want to buy a company? I think about the world that we live in today, and I think about the world that I'm gonna give to my daughter, and I'm gonna leave her. What the world that we're gonna give to the younger generation. And I think
Sure.
about what type of innovation do we want them to like we all I'm 34 years old. I know a lot of people on this call are familiar with like the Jetsons or like Back to the Future or whatever the case is. In Back to the Future in 2015, they had flying cars, and they had autonomous vehicles and all kinds of stuff, right? All kinds of technology that we were all looking forward to back when the movie came out. And
Sure.
and like I know a lot of us are disappointed because a lot of that stuff isn't out now. But
Right.
if you think about it, and I follow the market every single day, I'm like pretty tapped in just because it's for me it's giving me a new breath of life, right? In this dark time. So I see like, okay, we're going into the EV space, electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, robo taxis. You remember we were in LA and we were at the restaurant at that
The
chicken
little
spot.
robot, that's
Yeah.
delivering food on its own. Right.
It was
Stuff
a
like that.
it was a Postmates like little robot that pulled up to the restaurant, and somebody deposited the order into the restaurant, and that's it. And like it just left on its own and went to its destination. And like that's the world
Sure.
and obviously like obviously that was someone's job, but now
Right.
whoever had and so there's some negative implication to it. But at the end of the day, like we're gonna live in a world that there's gonna be robots doing our job and using us leveraging robots' minds and brain power and AI in order to make better decisions for the world, right? So like green
Sure.
energy, green cities, solar, wind power, battery instead of oil and gas and fuel and burning and combustion and all this negative stuff, mining, right?
Sure.
And so I think about like the kind of company basically that would give my daughter a better world, and in
Right.
essence create a more sustainable world. And that's it. Like and
Yeah.
I buy Apple. If I look at my portfolio now, it's like Apple, Tesla, Neo, which is a Chinese electric vehicle company. Just things like that, just futuristic things, space travel,
Yes.
battery tech, things that I believe in. And
Yeah.
and like for people who are like, what do you like? What do I buy? Like I have $500 or I have $100. What do I buy?
Sure.
It was easy for me to buy Apple because I look around and I have literally right in front of my face. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Apple products, like right in my line of sight, right here.
Right.
And so why not invest in Apple, right? I know a lot of us
Right.
are into sneakers. Like why not invest in Nike or Adidas? Like
Correct.
it's very simple to like you're already consuming these things, so you have a fundamental understanding of how these things work. And even if you think you don't, like you do.
So I think it's super important, right? Like what you're saying is very similar to my approach in where I look for disruptions, right? And I don't necessarily like think about long-term future necessarily, right? But I think about immediate future for sure, right? And one of those things is like I look for disruptions of industry, right? So for example, when Peloton IPO'd, right? Peloton IPO'd at about $27. And I was like, man, we're in time of like people just wanted something new. It's the exercise bike. The exercise bike has been around forever, right? Like this shit has not gone anywhere. It's not the most popping thing, but basically Peloton took that whack ass exercise bike, right? That sounds like Debo's bike, and made it very sexy and very fun and very Peloton is to the exercise bike what iPhone is to the cell phone, right? In a sense, where they just made it a lot more just like desirable, right? And nice to look at and better to use and on some just like for lack of a better term, some fly shit, right? Peloton is now up 451%, right?
Yeah.
So
Peloton is currently trading at $150.
bro, I bought it at $27. Another one that I'm like, I should have threw my entire bank account at that shit, right? What else? Like Disney, for example, right? I said I was invested in Disney. One of the things that made me finally buy it, because I was watching it for a while, when I saw that Disney, I don't remember which came first, but it's two things. One, Disney is about to launch Disney Plus, and I said, oh shit, right? Disney, without even having a streaming service, was already considered a media giant. Now, I'm sure everybody, Johnny, The Cure, Corey X, Uptown NY Ed, Viva, Danny, Suri, R.A, Everybody here got a Netflix account. Everybody here got a Hulu account or an Amazon Video, whatever account, right? So we're all streaming shit. Everybody's been on YouTube forever. We've been streaming shit. And Disney's a household name. So wait a minute. So the technology that we've been using is about to be part of this media conglomerate, because that's what Disney is. It's a media company, right? They're about to get into that game too. Oh, this is about to get interesting, right? Then, oh, Disney's about to acquire Fox's library and studio and catalog and all this shit. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Now, here's the crazy thing. I don't want anybody that's watching this, the 31 people, now it's up to all of y'all. I didn't go on finance.com or Market Watch or whatever to find out this information. I was literally scrolling Hypebeast, a fashion and lifestyle blog, right? And they talked about it. So I was like, oh shit, stop right there, right? I'm noticing there's going to be a disruption in industry. Not only are they going streaming, but they're about to acquire, right? And then I started following the news. And once I saw that the analysts were saying like, yo, basically, for anybody, if this goes through, if the court allows this purchase to go through, this acquisition to go through, what's going to happen is that Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and every other streaming company, in order to catch up to Disney, is going to have to join. And that shit can never happen because of monopoly laws and all that shit. So not only was Disney already ahead, now they're about to be light years ahead, right? Mm-hmm. From that point to this point, that stock is up 75%, right? It's disruptions in industry. That's literally all like I personally look for, right? T-Mobile's acquiring Sprint. Gap signs Kanye, whose clothing brand went through the roof, right? Like all these things, all these little things. When you look at them and you're like, yo, let me go look at how this is doing, right? I'm gonna look at yesterday. Any website, I recommend Market Watch for everybody. But if you go on and you put in that ticker symbol, right? So whatever company, you could even type in the name if you don't know the symbol. If you don't know the symbol, you can Google it, right? You're gonna see the last day, the last 3 days, the last 5 days, the last 6 months, the last year, the last 3 years, and then all time. And literally look at every single one and see, is it up to the right or down to the right? And if it's up to the right, chances are it's either going to stay the same or keep going over time. It might take a dip and then go back up, but it's not the hardest thing. Like if you truly understand, I can buy this pair of Jordans for $160 on Saturday morning because I got lucky on the sneakers app, and then I'm going to go ahead and sell them for whatever, then you can truly understand this. If you can go buy a box logo, Supreme, whatever, because you know that you can flip it, then you can go ahead and understand this, right? And at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is how much can you make? And I want everybody, the 32 people now watching, if you ask yourself, what is the interest rate on my savings account? It's probably 1 to 1.5%. That means terrible. For every $100, they're giving you $1 to $1.50, right?
It's terrible.
So even if you're investing and you're at even if you take $500 and you're at 10%, you just made $50. It's more than if you just leave it in the bank just sitting there, right? It became an addiction for me where when I was still working pre-COVID, this, that, and the other, everything is fine. It's like, damn, my shit's hovering between 9 and 11%. And I told myself, yo, I'm 9 to 11 times more than what this shit would be if it was sitting in the bank. And I'm happy as fuck now because I look at it and I see it hit 124%, 128%, back to 114%, and I'm fucking crying. But the truth of the matter is, I still doubled my money. You know what I'm saying? And as I saw success in different stocks, you get more comfortable and you get this process, of hey, all right, I understand what made me buy this. Let me use that knowledge and use that same approach for this, or that same time researching, or all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the things that I would tell a lot of people, is write out a list, get a notepad, and write out 10. It's harder than you think. It seems easy, even to me, but it took me time to do it. To write out 10 industries that you're actually interested in. Right? Whether it's automotive or aeronautic, right? Aviation, like airplanes and shit. You like traveling? Cool, right? Do you like travel and tourism? Do you like fashion, right? Because now when you're talking about that, then you can invest in textile companies, right? Everybody knows what's 3M. Everybody has a pair of sneakers with 3M on them, or a jacket or a t-shirt or a hat or something. Good. Go invest in 3M, because they do a lot more than make reflective shit. And they're way up, right? It's basically that, right? So I was like, all right, I'm in marijuana now. Cool. I'm in food with Beyond Meat. I'm in media with Disney. I'm in tech with Facebook and Tesla. I'm right. And it was just the diversity. And then little by little, as you complete that list, now you're little by little, you're closer to invested in 10, 11, 12 different companies without even like really noticing it, right? But you're constantly checking and seeing that everything is on the up. And if it's on the way down, then it's like, all right, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? But we've been talking for half an hour. Let's here comes the first question.
So
I know that.
yeah, so she said, while I know a lot of these things may be Googleable, but as a beginner, would you recommend buying shares in the top 5 stocks? So that's
Go ahead, go first.
okay. So when I first bought my first set of shares, it was Tesla, it was Apple, it was Twitter for my first round, and and Twitter's not one of the bigger companies. So would you recommend it? I mean, listen, it depends on your risk tolerance, right? So if, and it depends on what your goals are. If you're looking to start building a position in the stock market that's going to grow for a long period of time, something that like if you consider, and I know like people are brand new, they don't know what kind of investor they are, but for the most part, you just want to buy and build your position and let the time do its work. Let the time do what it does to the stocks, and let the companies grow. And thank you so much. So I know if people are probably scared about throwing, Tesla is what, it's like 35. How much is Tesla trading at nowadays? Let's see.
830
Tesla
something, I think.
845.
845.
So Tesla.
Before you keep going,
Yeah.
guys, just Tesla's trading right now at 845, right? I bought Tesla at $660 a share. It went up, and it went up to the point where they divided it in 5. From that share, I got 5. Now each one was worth 200 and something, right? And that 200 and something climbed back up to 800 and something. So it's exponentially way higher than what it was. But go ahead.
So the top 5 tech companies, or the top 5 companies, blue chip companies, you have Facebook, which is trading at let's see. Facebook is currently trading at 261. Apple is trading at 127. Amazon is trading at, and my friend Jerry, my friend Jerry had Amazon like $300. Amazon's trading Amazon's trading at 3,100. Netflix had earnings today. Netflix is currently trading at, and they beat earnings, so they went crazy. They are currently trading at, and let me change this to a 4-hour chart so I can see what they did just an hour ago. Yeah, they're at 564. They were at 500 earlier. Now they're at 564. 64 points today. And then Google's the last one from the FANG. FANG is the classification. Yeah. Google's trading at 1789. And then some people add Tesla. Tesla's trading at 844. So if you add if you want one share out of all of that, that's what, like $4,000, almost $4,000, right?
Right.
So I mean, you can buy $4,000 worth of one share of each company. I know that for some people, maybe they don't have $4,000 that they can just take out of their pocket and throw into the market. And I understand that, like, it's like, what's it really doing for you? Like I can take $4,000 and I can probably find a better use for it tomorrow and the next week and next month than I would holding it in the market for a year or 2 years or 10 years. So it depends. Like for me now that I see what the power of the market is and see what the power of compounding interest is. Compounding interest is something you guys want to look up. I would buy one share of each. Thankfully with these apps such as Robinhood, such as M1, such as the Cash App, you can buy fractional shares. So you can buy like I own Bitcoin in the Cash App, and I don't own a whole Bitcoin. Like I don't own a $40,000 coin. I own like 0.0000 something, And so if you wanted a piece of Tesla, right? In my M1 app, I have like 1/10 of a Tesla share. I have 1 Apple share. I have 2 Facebook shares, and I have half of a Google share, like all in one pie. Right. Yeah. So M1 is an app that I would suggest if you want to dip your toe in, and you really have to like go in with the intention, and check your intention. Is it like, do I want to take $1,000 and make $2,000 out of it? Because if that's the case, then now you're gonna have to dig deep, or you're gonna have a lot of patience, right? One of the
Yeah.
two. But if your intention is, and this is what the market is built for, if your intention is to learn, right, and as you're learning, watch your money over time kind of grow slowly, right? Then yeah, I mean, like I know you asked, Maddie asked, what should I buy, the 5 big companies? Like, yeah, you can start with the 5 big companies, or maybe you can start with, for example, Apple.
One of those companies.
Yeah, like for example, if you want to invest in Apple, you can do it. Secondhand. For example, there's a company called Taiwan Semiconductors. The ticker symbol is TSM, and they are in partnership with Apple for a lot of their things. And so you can invest in TSM, and that would be like vicariously investing in Apple, and the shares are much cheaper, right? Like there's different ways of doing it.
And that's just like what you mentioned earlier, right? When we were in LA and we see this little robot, right? That's for doing deliveries for Postmates or Seamless or whatever it was, right? There's a company that's making those robots for these types of businesses. So once you look at it, that we're gonna see it like, yo, Postmates got robots. But the truth is, you want to look at who's the company making the robots for Postmates. Who is the company that Postmates is ordering 100, 200, 1,000, 2,500 robots from? That's what you want to look at, right? But my answer to that, like, would I buy the top 5 stocks? I would take, if you're looking to do that, I would do it like Huey says. I would use M1, right, and set up a pie. So you mentioned also FANG stocks. So for the people that don't know, FANG is basically Facebook, Apple, Alphabet, which is
Amazon,
Amazon, Netflix, and Google, right? Google trades under Alphabet, but basically, so write it down: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. That's something that's amazing for long term, right? So what M1 allows you to do is actually not only buy fractional, but you basically set up a pie, right? And you can say, like, for example, my M1 has 45% of my M1 goes to Tesla, 20% goes to Peloton, right? So now there's 35% left. That 35% is split between Shopify, Etsy, Netflix, Google, and Apple, right? So what I do is I put it on a schedule where every Monday, $100 gets transferred into that account. And that $100, $45 goes to Tesla, $20 goes to Peloton, and so on and so on. I have 2 portfolios. One's in E-Trade and one's in M1. M1, I like to use it and put it on autopilot, right? And just let that keep growing, because I know that what I'm choosing for M1 are things that are going to be long-term. My E-Trade, I keep it. It's where I started. It's my, if I want to just go ahead and buy 5 shares right now and sell 20 of this and whatever the case may be, I'm more swing trading, on that side. So that's to answer that question, Maddie. I hope that helps you out. Is Robinhood best for long-term stocks? Sorry, this is new to me. It's all good. That's what we're doing this for. It's still new to all of us. I've never used Robinhood. I used E-Trade and I used M1. I think you used Robinhood for a little bit, so I think you could better answer that.
I use Robinhood every single day. With my Robinhood app, it's so easy. Like it's just so easy to manage, so easy to visualize, so easy to kind of, you can just quickly deposit money in there. Robinhood is they're gonna go public, which means they're gonna be traded on the stock market pretty soon. I think this year, maybe in this quarter, right? This first 3 months of the year. And the fact that they're going public tells me that they've stabilized, they're showing a profit, there's a public trust in the company. I think the company is great. I don't like trading on Robinhood. I hold all of my shares in Robinhood, and I will forever hold my shares in Robinhood. It's a very easy,
long term.
Yeah. And sometimes like I'll get frisky and I'll trade in there. I'll like double my money up real quick. I'll take 100, I'll turn it into 150 or 200 like real quick on a risky play, and then I'll take that and I'll buy shares. Like that's just straight shares.
Look, just going back to like when we were talking about why we're doing this, a lot of us, first generation, immigrant parents, all that, right? We didn't grow up with all this like how should I say, knowledge of the market or financial education and credit, stocks, this, that, and the other, financially literate, right? And things like that, right? Some of our parents were able to make moves, a lot of them weren't, whatever the case may be. So when you look at it and you think about this whole situation, it's like, yo, we all got a late start. None of us are trust fund babies. Not me, not you, not none of the 29 people watching. None of us are trust fund babies, right? And it's like, think about your retirement. Think about your, like, what you're going to hand down to your children and things like that. Don't even think about yourself. If you happen to make enough money for yourself where you can go, sell a couple shares, take some gains, and go on your dream vacation, that's no problem. But don't get into it for that. You're going to make erratic moves and emotional moves, and you're probably going to lose your money. Think long term all the way through. Never put in any money that you're scared of losing, that you can afford. To only deal with what you can afford to lose, even though none of us can, right? And that's why. So if you start with a little bit, if it's $500, if it's $200, just make the soundest move with that money. You know what I'm saying? But time is moving along. I want to get to some more of these small questions. M1, is it an app? Yes, VGAC or VGK. M1 is an app that allows you to set up a pie and go ahead and buy fractional. Trading in Robinhood should be illegal. I mean, opinions are like
Somebody said.
RH. Okay. What's up, Jeff? How you doing? Ron and I should crash this. Okay, cool. The lovely you. Facts. Awesome.
So Kev said, what sectors are you guys looking at with the Biden administration and Democrats winning?
Personally, based off of a lot of the things that they're trying to get done and things like that, I think solar is a good one. And we know Tesla for cars, but Tesla's involved in solar as well. But there's some other good solar companies. I definitely would look in solar. That's why, if you want to base it based on just politics, I would look at solar heavy. Because I think that a lot of the natural resources are about to get exposed over the next few years, and it's going to make some moves on the market. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
What company do you will 10x in the next 2-3 years? Wow, that's a fucking crazy question. That's a Gordon Gekko question. You want to?
Who asked that?
What company do you feel can go 10x in the next 2-3 years? Well, I'll tell you this. This is how
asked that
question to Trini Byrne. I'm assuming this is how I can answer that question. And I'm glad Ozone is in here. I'm glad Jose is in here because he can attest to it in the comments. Tesla was called to be a $3,000 share by 2025, and now they're calling it to be a $7,000 share by 2025. It's $800 right now, so that's a little bit over 10x. I guess that answers your question. Tesla.
Yeah.
Wait, and I was meaning to say this earlier, just so people don't get scared of large amounts, right? So I had a conversation with Clep, right? A couple years ago, maybe about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And he was talking to me about Amazon, right? And I was telling you this the other day, but I want everybody to hear this. So at that point, he was telling me he bought one share of Amazon. And I was like, one share, yo. And I looked it up and it was $1,400. And I was like, yo, this is absolutely insane. There's absolutely no way this thing is going to double. Why would I take these $1,400 and make 10% or 15% or 20% on it, right? Okay. That shit drops to $1,200. I'm keeping an eye on it now. So $1,200 it drops to. And I think to myself, I should buy this shit. One share. And I said, nope. I know nobody's gonna go check right now, so I'm gonna tell you.
I'm on it right now.
About 3,600.
3,135.
It's $3,100. So it went from 14, and I said, no way it doubles. It goes down to 12. No way it doubles, and now it's at 31. So sometimes it's not about buying 1,000 shares or 100 shares or whatever. Sometimes it's only making a move and buying one. You just really have to look at it and say who's not disappearing. So. Yeah, I wanted to share that part. Have you guys invested in Pharma? Oof. You want to go first?
I don't like Pharma personally, only because, like, for example, I know people jumped on Moderna and Pfizer based on what they're doing. Those are government contracts. They're not making money off of that stuff, and so you're not going to make money off of that stuff as a shareholder, right? So I personally don't like Pharma because they're too susceptible to news. However, I will say that there's and to double back on Trini's question about what companies can go 10x. There's a massive revolution going on in the genomic sector, which is gene editing. So I was talking to one of my colleagues, and she told me, she's a nurse, and she's like, there's a lot of conversation about how you can edit diseases out of your DNA, and you can make changes to, like, soldiers' DNA to become super soldiers. And these are things that we've seen, like if you watch Black Mirror or if you watch any kind of sci-fi show, this is all technology that exists now, right?
Yeah.
You can use that type of technology to like say, you know what, I want a boy with green eyes and
Sure.
blonde hair, like my son type of thing, you know.
Gotta have the money
And so you got to have the money for it now, you know, and then
now.
one day it'll, as it progresses and as the technology becomes more widespread, so will the ability to partake in the type of technology for everyone will be
Yeah.
widespread, right? So I think genomics, I think healthcare, you know, telehealth, which we might be late, but like teledoc is going to explode. Apple's actually getting into the healthcare space low key. I personally don't like pharma, but that's just a personal bias. You know, what about you? I don't know how you feel about pharma.
I lost money on. I was in Moderna, and there was another one. I forget it. I forget what it is. I sold both. I was pissed off at myself because if I would have held on and not been hasty and emotional, I would have made money on Moderna on the high. And then if I wouldn't have sold it, then I would have just lost that money all over again. But yeah, it's tricky. I personally don't like pharmaceuticals. You know, again, I've been in sales for over 2 decades, and I don't like. I've always felt skeeved out by people think fucking car salesmen are bad. Try pharmaceutical salespeople, right? And I've always been skeeved out by that, even though I know that's a lane that I could have made a lot of money in. I just don't like that game in general. You know what I'm saying? It's very media controlled. It's politics. I don't like to deal with that. So, but in terms of Ashley's comment about people forgetting that innovation isn't exclusive to Silicon Valley, you're absolutely right. Innovation isn't exclusive to any industry. You know, it's all over the place. That's why I mentioned earlier, like, for example, you know, if you're into fashion, go invest in textiles. You know, go invest in the technology that they're using, that they're working on now, right? To go ahead and do these fashion shows in a different way, right? Like things like that. These companies that are doing the invisible fucking models and mannequins for runway shows, right? Go invest in that. You know, like innovation is everywhere. We're making these long-term investments. Is there a minimum amount of money you should start with?
No.
There's no number to that. The amount is any amount that you're okay with potentially losing, right? But obviously taking a calculated risk and looking at situations like, all right, this company probably isn't going to tank, right? So I'm not going to maybe make a lot of money. I'm not going to lose, but I'm not going to make a lot. But the upside is that XYZ is going on. There's a particular disruption in industry, and I may be able to make some more money, right? So yeah, there's no particular amount. I mean, you could take $100 and buy 100 shares at $1 a piece, and tomorrow it trades at $2.25 or $1.75, and now you made $75 on your $100, right?
If you're
So
in it
there's
for the, if you're in it for the long game, just like Sid said with his M1, just drip money into it, and like automatic, robotic, like you don't even think about it. You have it set and you forget about it. And just like we do with our savings, like I automate all of my finances. So my savings, I don't even see it. Like whatever I see in my bank, that's what I'm allowed to spend. Everything else goes to bills or investments or whatever the case is. And so like whatever you would automatically put into your savings account, just drip it into the market on something that you think is going to perform well. And that's going to force you to do some research, and it's going to force you to find out where your values and your morals are, and just get some companies that you line up with, and then just drip money into it little by little, $50, $20. You know, some of these apps, I think Acorns is a type of app that like it takes your change and it puts it into a savings account. I'm sure that like maybe there's one of these that you can link, and I'll do some research. I'm sure there's one that you can link to like take money and just invest it, like whatever uninvested change, just invest it.
So I use Acorns is one of the things I use also, right? And what Acorns does is you get to set up your own rules. It rounds up right on your purchase. You link it to your debit card, right?
Yeah.
And then you round up to the nearest dollar, the nearest $2, the nearest $3. That's one of the things you can do. Another thing you can do is actually set it to drip money into your account on a weekly basis. You pick the day, you pick the amount. And then there's a thing on the top right corner, it looks like almost like a roller coaster going up, right? When you click on that, you can actually slide it over and it tells you how much money, an estimate, because they take your money and they put it on the market. They basically tell you an estimated amount that you would have at that age that you choose, right? And that's a super helpful tool, because when I first started using Acorns, I was putting $100 into my M1 a week, and I was putting $100 into my Acorn a week, right? And when I looked at it, I was like, yo, wait a minute. How much money am I going to have in 10 years? And I was like, well, so that means if I put $200 a week, how much money am I? And I said, oh, shit. So this is just an extra $101,000 in 10 years because I decided to go ahead and put $200 a week, right? And then, so here's why I was looking at that. Where was that money coming from? Oh, government, you want to give me an extra $600 a week? Bet. I'm going to take 30% of that and I'm going to go ahead and invest it. Going back to the original point and how this conversation started, people talking about mocking the idea of taking your stimulus and flipping it. What the fuck else was I gonna do with it? Buy more Jordans? Smoke more weed? Like, what was I really going to do? Like, seriously, how much food can I eat? Where am I going? Why am I buying new clothes? I might as well take the money that are 18 cents a day that this government is giving me, right? And turning it into something, at least trying, because if like, yo, here's the crazy shit. You can go ahead and work for somebody else, right? Cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us do it and a lot of us make some good money, right? And some of us just pay our bills and have different dreams. But you can take some of that money and buy food. That food don't give you no money back, but you need it because you have to sustain, right? You pay your bills because you need to pay your bills. It's just what it is. Then you decide to get fresh because you like getting fresh. Okay, cool. All that shit makes you feel good. Here's where it gets crazy. When we take a trip to Foxwoods or to Atlantic City or to Vegas and you roll some dice, what is the difference, right? The difference is that out there, the house always wins. Here, you actually get to control that situation, right? So if you've ever found yourself, playing CeeLo with your boys or gambling in a casino somewhere, you probably could have, there's a higher probability of you taking that same amount of money and flipping it. The idea is just to make more money than what you have already at the end of the day.
I see. Angelica says, which platforms do you guys prefer for options? I trade options in Robinhood. I prefer to trade options in Thinkorswim. TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. Just because of the knowledge, the amount of knowledge that you get from that platform. They're constantly teaching you how to become a better investor and trader. I consider myself an investor and trader because I trade to make the quick returns, and I take those returns and park them into shares. And so investor and trader, right? And so I think Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade's trading platform personally is the best one. Although Robinhood, you can do a great job with Robinhood. I know millionaires that use Robinhood, like straight up. So it really doesn't matter. Are we releasing watch lists? Kev, you could probably hit up Sid and he'll probably send you his watch list for a small fee or something.
Well, to be honest, I don't have that much of a watch list anymore, but I'll give you something, Kev. I'll give you something. Here's what I'm watching, and it goes back to, if you were watching earlier, what I said about Disney and Fox, right? So once again, I'm on Hypebeast, right? Because I like that shit. Hypebeast, High Snob, Freshness, all these sites, right? And I see a post about MGM putting up their studio and library. Just so everybody knows, they own like The Hobbit, they own the Rocky franchise, and there's James Bond. They own all that shit, right? They go ahead and basically they're up for sale, $5.2 billion, right? So now what am I watching? Am I watching MGM? No, I'm looking to see who's potentially going to buy MGM. And then I'm going to go ahead and look into what their history on the market is, what they're currently trading at, right? And follow the news and see what's the likelihood of that sale actually going through and being approved by the courts. That's like the only thing on my watch list right now, is something like that. I'm keeping a close eye on the company Climber, who isn't on the market yet. See, my watch list contains of businesses that aren't on the market, to be honest with you. That's me, right? But Climber, CLMBR, just for everybody, is basically to what indoor rock climbing is. It's what Peloton is to biking, Climber is to indoor rock climbing, right? Another disruption in industry, right? I'm looking at that because the minute that shit hits the market, like the retail market, and then IPOs, the same thing that happened to Peloton is going to happen on that end. You know what I'm saying?
What is that? It's a vertical treadmill with rocks on it?
It's something like that. Yeah. It's, you know what I'm saying? But if you look at it, right, there's like the boxing one now, right, where you can just like fucking punch your life away at home, and it's like, even because it's on your plasma, your smart TV, whatever. You have these mirrors that are like body length mirrors, but it's all You open that shit up and there's resistance bands behind it. This is
Mhm.
all slowly pulling people away from the gym. All these things couldn't drop at a better time, right? Where it's like we're all home and people are scared. The gyms are closed. Great. Now it's this industry starts, this tech fitness marriage, home fitness marriage starts to bubble even more. So I watch things like that, you know, and I wait for things like that to happen. And yeah, that's what I'm watching.
Yeah. I see V's question. She says, "Are you guys ever invested in something, or have you ever invested in something that just completely tanked?"
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's part of the game, you know, and like what I tell everybody, regardless if you're trading options or you're trading stocks, with stocks, the you know, and these things always take the stairs up and the elevator down. That's just the way it works, right? With stocks, like
Right.
honestly, you shouldn't be investing in something that's gonna have a massive tank. And if it does tank, then you guess what you do. If you believe in the company enough to have bought it in the first place, then when it tanks, you buy more.
That's right.
You just buy more, right?
Yes. So it's the idea of lowering your average cost per share or your price per share, right? And I'll give you guys an example. If you take $100 and there's a stock at $10 and you buy 10 shares, right? And now it drops to 5 and you buy 10 more. Your average cost just went down to 750. So it's easier for you to make your money back when you bought more. Rocket Mortgage is one of those things that I just did that with, right? I fucking had 10 shares. I
Did you
was
buy the
losing
IPO?
that money and I bought 26 more shares.
Yeah.
And a week later, I'm in the positive now because it's the total average of, there's some people say there's no bad days, right? There's no bad days on the market. There's just sale days. Those are days that's like, you got to look at it like the outlet.
Exactly.
Those are times to buy it more, right? And go ahead and take a bigger, get more for your money. You're getting more value if the shit dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that answers your question. Oh, how do you
She said also,
know
how do you
what's
gut check and know exactly? So I'll answer this real quick. Like for
going
me, it's like, what companies do I know are gonna last forever, right? So Apple, I'm invested in Apple's just transformative. Like they're just gonna, you know, they're gonna be here forever. I love the company. I love the design. I love everything about them. They're gonna be here forever. I guess the harder question is like how do you know what to invest in short term? Um, you have to take advantage of what's going on in the world, right?
Yes.
So like there's this company called Digital Ally. The ticker symbol is DGLY, and they're the company that produces body cameras for police. And so when everything happened in the summertime with George Floyd, DGLY stocks spiked. Like I think it tripled in just that one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it came back down. So like if I know that there's a potential play based on what's going on in the world, and I'm not really digging too much into the company. I just want to see if I can flip my money very quickly. Then that's like, when I have that mindset, then that's how I know that it's short term. Versus
Yeah.
like, yo, this is a staple. This is not going anywhere. I consume this product regardless of where I am in my life. I'm always gonna partake in Apple products, for example. I'm always gonna have a Netflix subscription while their service is still good. You know, as long as as long as my daughter, you know, she's gonna be 4 next year, but I'm sure she'll still be into Disney for the next 10 years, right? We're still watching Disney Plus, like.
Forever.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to think about it like that. The companies that don't merit too much research, they're probably like, quick. Let me see if I can just catch his run up and then take my money out of it.
Yeah. I think the shortest play, and probably still my favorite play to date, is Hertz, the rental company, right? You remember so Hertz Hertz goes bankrupt, and the major owner and
Oh,
shareholder.
real quick. We have 2 minutes left. So if we have to restart this,
Yeah,
then
we'll jump back on for sure. He loses 1.2 billion dollars and pulls out everything, right? And I said, oh shit, I'm buying this, right? And I bought 450 shares, I think it is 484. It's just some crazy number, right? And I bought them at $1.09, right? And a couple friends of mine was like, yo, you're bugging, right? Guys, 10 days later, I sold it at $4.90 something cents. What that translated to was $2,700 from $400 in 10 days, right? And so, but I knew that it was going to go up and not disappear. And it was going to go because everybody's buying it. This shit just went to hell. Everybody's buying it. But now, once it gets to a certain point and you're watching it, it's the numbers changing live in front of you. And you're seeing that it's starting to climb down, sell. that's the approach at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's really not the most difficult. You just really have to be vigilant. The good thing is, and somebody pointed this out to me recently, back in the days, our parents had to call a stockbroker, and when you wanted to sell,
Crazy.
and the stockbroker's like, no, right?
Right.
And it's like, fuck, no, and they were trying to get you to sell more. Where now, all you got to do is pull out your phone and click sell. You don't have to deal with none of that shit. Nobody's going to go ahead and tell you, buy more. No, hold on to it. So if you watch Boiler Room, Wolf of Wall Street, this, that, and the other, any one of those movies, we don't have to deal with none of that shit anymore. You can if you want to, but we don't have to. You can literally buy when you want to, sell when you want to.
What's up, guys? What up, Danny? What up, Ro? What's up, Taylor? What's up, V? Let's give it a few more minutes. I know Sid is he's got a bunch of things he's got to do tonight, so we're probably gonna just take the rest of this time for do that. He's probably gonna take this time for some questions. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for pulling up. You know, I know it's 9 o'clock. There's probably a few other places you'd rather be than on your phone right now. But I think this is important, right? Like we're doing this because we think that it's crucial. I mean, like honestly, like for me, my parents were invested in the market,
you know, through their jobs, like whatever programs that their jobs have, like mutual funds or whatever the case may be, right? And so with them, it was really just like taking money from their check and it goes into the market. Taking money from the check goes into the market, and that's my exposure to my parents' way of doing it, right? Which is totally fine. What you do is like the money that goes from your check goes to like some money manager who decides, you know, there's a company who's managing your entire company's account, and they say, all right, this is gonna go here, this is gonna go there, this is gonna go there, depending on your risk tolerance, depending on the type of things that, you know, like for example, I think there's like a retirement age 30 years, so you're a little bit more risky, so they can get more loose with it. Versus retirement age 5 years from now, they're going into like, you know, high dividend, really slow movers, things that are consistent and stable, and that's cool. Like I have a 401k with my job. You know, I'm thankful that I have a 401k with my job, and they, I'm risky there. Like I'm super risky, and you can tell by the returns, right? And so for me, I think, and savings is great, and just putting money aside automatically, you know, without having to think about it is great. But the better thing to do is take control of your money and put it into companies that you know are going to withstand all these times. Like COVID killed everything. The whole market died in February, March, and then Tesla came right back. Apple came right back, right? All these things went and hit all-time highs, and COVID gave a good opportunity for a lot of new companies to expand and really just blow up, right?
New industries to flourish. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
I saw Danny was asking about investing in Zoom earlier. Yeah, I mean, so the thing with Zoom now is Zoom had a good opportunity for a bullish run a few months ago, and yeah, and I don't quite understand why it's not trading a little bit higher. So I know that people are coming back to work. I know that people are, you know, but at the same time, like I think companies realized that they're gonna be able to keep people at home and maintain the same amount of productivity, and it's gonna be much cheaper for them to do that.
Well, as more people get hired and businesses start hiring again, and the job market goes back to what it was pre-COVID, I think you'll see Zoom go up. So I think Zoom still has room. It's just not going to skyrocket. It's going to be a slow growth. The skyrocket already happened. Now it's going to be
exactly
growth. It's going to be a slow growth. So a lot of these things also, going back to like V's question from the last thing, the news. And that's something that I really had to learn, because I would like question, especially during the pandemic, like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Why is all this shit dropping? Watch the news. Like the things that are happening in the media make people spend money, save money in a particular way. You know, like it's a lot of that. You know what I mean? So definitely pay attention to the local, not so much the local news. It's more about like world news, you know, because the local news doesn't really do too much, right? I fucking hate watching local news because what you're gonna see is like, unfortunately, 79 negative stories about a baby that was found in a trash can, or somebody getting into a fight, somebody getting murdered, mad negative shit. For every 20 negative stories, there's one positive story, right? And none of that really affects the market. What does really affect the market is what's happening globally and on a national level. I think that's what we really gotta pay attention to in terms of like watch lists, long term, short term. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of it is the news. You know, people are waking up at 5, 6 a.m. and watching the news and like trying to understand what's happening so they could get ahead of their moves. You know.
So I see a question in here. What do you guys think of the cannabis industry? I know a lot more states have started following the trend of legalizing it. So I'll let you talk about that. In the meantime, Cisco, jump in and tell me what NIU is. I've seen that ticker before, but tell me what it is real quick, and we'll answer your question.
So the marijuana industry, you know, something that I'm going to keep reiterating, and I'm always going to say it: disruptions in industry. You know, I haven't smoked in a couple months, but I remember I've smoked for 20 plus years, and I remember saying all the time, they're not going to legalize marijuana until they could figure out how to fabricate, put it in a pack of a box, just like a pack of cigarettes, and figure out and then get the industry to the point where it's actually affordable, like a pack of cigarettes, right? Because nobody's gonna turn around and be like, "Yo, let me get that box of joints for $100." Like, it doesn't make any sense. But now that there's so much weed farming and production going on, right? Oh, now it's industry. Now it's legalized here, legalized there, this, that, and the other. I personally bought ticker symbol CRON, CRON, right? Because of the fact that it was the first marijuana company traded on the New York Stock Exchange. I thought that was a huge deal, right? I thought it was a really big deal, but also it's not so much about marijuana only. A lot of these companies, Tilray's in with Budweiser to make the first cannabis infused beer, right? But then either Kron is actually in with Corona, right? To make the first beer. And then looking like fucking Afria, right, is in with Marlboro, right? And like a lot of these companies are working with way bigger companies to go ahead and disrupt their industry. It keeps going back to the same thing, guys. Everybody's looking to be the leader in their industry. And the way that you can turn to the leader of your industry is by disrupting the industry and creating a brand new lane in that industry. So in terms of marijuana, Afria, Tilray, Kron. Those are the three that I would look at. Those are the three that I would throw some money at. Look, I had Kron when it dropped and I got it at $9 a share. I saw it go down to $5 a share. I held on to it. I recently bought even more when it was at $7 a share. And now it's finally making money. Why?
Yeah.
Because you got New York State about to be legalized. Because you have Dems going back into office. So I guess this goes back to the question about politics. The marijuana sector. Yo, after losing so much money this year because of COVID, marijuana is one of those industries that can help plug that fucking hole in a major way. The minute that you get a state like New York to go ahead and legalize this shit, the rest of the country is following suit very, very fast. And it's already recreation and medicinal in a lot of places, but the minute that a market like New York does this shit and gains serious 300, I think it's $300 million in tax revenue off rip, like eventually that number is going to grow. All the other states are going to follow. Like, you know, so that's definitely how I feel about marijuana. I feel like it's something that everybody should get in now before it gets too crazy. Kron is still affordable. Afri is still affordable. Tilray, I think, was up to 80 something. It might be down to 60 something a share right now.
So I want to make 3 points about weed. So the first one is Afria. Tilray is actually acquiring Afria. They're in the middle of an acquisition. I'm not sure if it's done. I'm not sure where it is. So the new ticker is going to become TLRY once it's all done. So that's that. The second thing is, I know that Cuomo already made a public address about bringing marijuana legal into New York. And I don't think there was a massive reaction out of the industry, but I mean, in my experience with weed as a sector, it's just a very slow mover, and sometimes you'll find those spikes, right? The third thing is that the UN, I think it was back in December, not the UN, the World Health Organization,
the WHO.
Yeah, they requested that marijuana be the regulation schedule be rescheduled to be lowered to like something that's more safe. I think they had it up there with heroin or something like that, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Last one.
yeah, so they want they want to reschedule it to make it safer, and that's super bullish for weed in general, right? And then, bullish meaning price is gonna go up, right? Your portfolio is gonna go up. The last thing with weed, and then I want to get back to Cisco about NIU. There's some ticker symbols that some of us have long positions in. HEXO is one of them, Hexo. Another one is Sundial, SNDL. Another one is what's the other one? The other one escapes me, but those are two that we have pretty long. Some of my friends have pretty long positions, meaning like either you have options that expire in 2 years, or you're just loading shares as time goes on. Constantly loading shares. So let's see. So Cisco asked about NIU. He said, so the question was, I'm just going back to the question real quick. Let's see. I don't know where the question is,
So
but
what are your thoughts?
basically, yeah, so NIU is a scooter company, and that's why it's familiar to me. My friend Lewis, who actually Cisco, he asked me about NIU. It's a Chinese scooter company. It's like basically what Revel is, but it's a foot scooter, standing up foot scooter.
Like Bird.
I think like Bird,
It's a-
exactly like Bird. So I think NIU is great. So what would cause me to, and I don't know if they're publicly traded. I mean, if they are, then yeah, that's the case. And then he's saying it's a scooter that can possibly hit 100 miles per hour. That's wild. That's
That's the-
that's insanity. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna need to do something with that.
they're gonna put a limiter on it.
What it probably is a 100-mile battery.
Yes, that sounds a lot more. 100-mile per charge. That sounds a lot more. Probable.
And they're in China, and as we all know, China has the second largest population in the world. Follow only India is larger than theirs, right? And then so it depends on how much market share they have there, right? It depends on what their expansion plans are. Like I know a lot of EV companies in China are looking to expand into Europe. I know that Germany is one of the countries that's open to Chinese partnerships. And so I would look into those kind of things. I don't know. He said it's meant for a highway. It's like a highway use like a pasola. Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, that's
Oh, you
different.
know what? Yeah, it's not a foot scooter. You're right. It's like a Rebel scooter. It's like a Rebel scooter. You sit down on it and
Places it's illegal to actually ride those on the highway. You
so
can't.
in here it's illegal. In China, I don't want to talk ill of anyone who's not here to defend themselves, right? But they don't have a lot of rules out there, and so I can see how that works out there. I would look into, in terms of NIU, I don't know if they're publicly traded, and if they are, I would just look into like what are their plans to expand, right? Like, are they going to go into Europe at some point? Are they going to license their technology and their hardware and their software to other companies? Are they going to license their infrastructure to other companies? Because that's where the money's at. Like Tesla. Once these large EV companies in the US start popping up more and more frequently, they're not gonna. Tesla can say, you know what, you can rent our network, you can rent our charging stations. We'll lock you in with our charging stations. All you gotta do is pay us a fee, right? And if NIU is positioning themselves to do something like that, that's super bullish, right? Like this company NEO that a lot of us are investing in, the ticker symbols NIO. They release something that's battery as a service, and so you can buy a car, and you can buy the car with the battery, the super expensive battery, or you can rent the battery on a monthly basis. And whenever your battery kind of like wears down, you go to one of the service stations, you pull it in, and you go have a cigarette and go have lunch, go have, take your girl for a milkshake or something, go for a walk, and you get a brand new battery within like 30 minutes or something like that. And so like that's a subscription based service. So that's something that, and depending on what it is, like maybe they can make the same battery for multiple different platforms for some of their competitors, right?
Yeah.
Because it will be more beneficial for all of the competitors to say we're going to use the same batteries or the same charging stations or the same this or that, so that they don't have to spend money to build out these same infrastructure. So yeah, I would look into their expansion plans. And
A lot of these things are definitely like not only what is the product, what is the industry, but you also have to look at like what is the business model, right? Like how are you going to sell it? How are you going to generate revenue? Because oftentimes it's not just selling something directly, it's a subscription based situation. And then so where's the value in that? I would suggest that everybody here, if you don't watch Shark Tank, watch a lot of Shark Tank. That shit is really gonna help you understand how these billionaires invest in other companies. And it's the same thing. We're just doing it on a lower level because we're buying a share at a time. I'll give you an example. I think when I left Yelp, I think I had like, damn, I don't remember the amount of shares, but it wasn't even, it was maybe about 20 shares a year, something like that, right? Just to give you guys an idea, the owner of Yelp owns 24,200,000 shares. You understand what I'm saying? So where we own 5 or 10 or 20 or 100, this dude owed 24 million shares, right? And so you just look at it like, what is the business? Do I like it? What are they doing? What moves are they making? And how do they generate money? And how are they further going to generate money? And the reason why I say this is because we brought up Tesla a lot, right? Tesla doesn't make money off of their cars. Tesla makes money off of their technology, right? It's a totally different thing where I don't know, man. Toyota makes money off of their cars, but at the same time, they also make money off of their hybrid technology. So you have to look at how the money is being made and what the business model is for the companies. I know Lisette asked, how can they make money off of it? And I really want to know if she's talking about the legalization of marijuana. Lisette, if you're still here, let me know if that's what you meant, because I definitely want to get to that. And there's a really simple explanation for that, but I don't want to talk out of turn.
I think that and I'm not sure because I saw when the question popped up. I think she's asking, and I'll ask her to reiterate. I think she's asking, they're waiting to legalize it until they figure out how exactly they can monetize, which is like you said, packaging it, taxing it, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll let her come in and clarify that.
Yeah. But just in case it's that, so we can move along, just in case it's that, just to give you guys an example, either like 2 years ago, I believe. So because of the skyrocket of the market, the marijuana market in Colorado, right? It might even been 3 years now, right? Because of the amount of money that was generated from the industry alone, the business owners, right? This is how much money is being generated. And I'm saying this to say something else. The owners of these major farms, right, and dispensaries and all that are the ones that got together and paid for civil engineering projects, fixing the roads, fixing this, fixing that. They didn't even wait for the state to do it. They paid for it with their own money. Now, the reason why I say that is if they're making that much money, the taxation on marijuana is extremely high. When you go to LA, let's say, and you go to a dispensary, it's a 21% sales tax. That's 2.3 times more than our sales tax here for buying a fucking can of soda or whatever at the store, like wherever you pay sales tax, right? So that they're taxed heavily, but that shit's all revenue for the state, could be.
I was looking at. I always have such a negative opinion of these analysts who rate Tesla as a car company, because it's bigger than that. Like, it's so much bigger than that. And one thing I want to note about Tesla is like they have no marketing spend whatsoever, like none. You've never seen a Tesla ad in your life.
Yes.
Right? And you probably won't. You're not going to see one for a long time, because the marketing for Tesla are the drivers, the owners of the company, and people like us who are talking about it, the shareholders, people who own the product, people who do the research, people who like the technology. You'll never see a Tesla commercial. Like maybe in 3-4 years when the competition is more fierce. But and I think that's crazy. Like they're these companies, like I think I see like Chevrolet and Ford and all these companies spend billions and billions of dollars on a TV commercial during Super Bowl, right? Tesla just saved $1 billion by not throwing out a commercial because they don't need to. They don't care, right? They don't care.
They might just park a Cybertruck in front of that thing and have everybody marvel at it or something crazy, or like, I don't know, man. Tesla might, just do something completely different. But the truth is that it's very organic. It's a very organic growth. And even down to the process of going to purchase a Tesla is very different. When you walk into that dealership, there's not 12 people there trying to hound you like, hey, let me go ahead and test drive this car and credit application and blah, 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 right? It's not that process, right? It's a very different process. You go in, there's 3 cars sitting there. You probably can't test drive the thing, right? They literally just let you look at it, and then you go home and you take your laptop and you sit with your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or by yourself with the dog, the cat, or the goldfish. You open up your laptop and you fucking order the car on your laptop. Like, that's it. It's very, very simple with like $100 deposit or something, whatever it is, right? And your car gets made, and then you go ahead and enjoy it. Like, it's literally that. It's very, very clean process. So again, not only is the technology behind the vehicle a disruption in industry,
The
so
process
is
itself.
the purchasing process, right? Like, it's super easy. People, the automotive industry has a stigma on that side, because I was a car salesman for 7 years. And one of the first things that I told myself was, I am not going to be the stereotype, right? And it separated me. And maybe I didn't make as much money as the guys around me, but I also was okay not taking that approach, because I just didn't want to be part of that, right?
Yeah.
And they literally said, fuck that. We're not doing business like traditional salesmen, car salesmen, or car dealerships, I should say, because the company doesn't know how you're doing it. The guys in Japan don't know how the Honda, Lexus, Infiniti, Nissan, Toyota salespeople are doing anything. They don't care. They just want you to move metal. They just want you to move units, right? At the end of the day, they're looking at it and saying, all right, we understand this down to the consumer's like experience, and we want to go ahead and basically just like keep an eye on not only the purchasing process but the technology as well. Mm-hmm. Right? And we go ahead and do all this shit and just make it a fun experience for everybody and anybody.
I agree with what Ange said. She said Tesla sold a damn coffee mug. In a couple of minutes, they can sell almost anything with their branding. Tesla sold a coffee mug. Tesla sold a pair of booty shorts as a joke to the people who were short the stock, and it sold out in minutes. Tesla sold a tequila for like $1,000. Like, yo, honestly, like I love that company. I love everything about that company. You know, and I'm always gonna have love for them and their technology. I see P is asking, it feels like you have a constant finger on the pulse. For someone who's interested in investing, how active would you say you need to be?
So back to, maybe he just joined. I wasn't on the last slide, but so P, one of the things that you can do is have your face in that computer screen all day long and be super aggressive with it and fucking lose your mind and let your heart rate go up and down 1 trillion times a day. Or you can look at it periodically. I personally spend my first hour to hour and a half, so basically from 8:30 in the morning till 10 a.m. looking at the news and the market, right? It's more so from 9:30 to 10. I really believe that what happens in that first half hour says a lot. But also, you don't have to take that approach if you're going long term. Use an app like M1, fractional sharing, let money drip into it, and just look at it once a week if you want to. Look at it once a month if you want to. You know, the truth of the matter is that when you're doing things like the FANG stock, so just to reiterate for anybody that missed it, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, right? Google trades under Alphabet, right? You could just put your money in those in a pie, break it up, add Tesla. I would add Tesla. I would add Shopify. I would add those into the mix. And I personally would add Peloton into the mix. It's up, way up, 450% roughly from IPO a few months ago.
It's funny.
Little by little.
There's this guy on YouTube. His name is Graham Stephan, and he says FANG is like what it's known as, but the real like massive ones it's called Fat Mang. It's Facebook, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, Google. To answer your question, P, like personally, like for me, I have a pulse because I'm trading options, and I'm also trading stocks. So for me, I need to know exactly what's going on, like minute by minute, you know, and like my job thankfully gives me the opportunity to be able to be plugged in that manner, right? But like I don't wish it on anybody who's getting started. Like you don't got to follow the news too much. You know, for me, I it's like my edge to know exactly what's going on in the economy, exactly what's going on in the world, exactly what political events are occurring, exactly when companies report earnings. Like these are things that benefit me as an options trader. For anyone who doesn't know, options are just like it's a contract to buy shares at a certain price at a future date, right? And I don't want to get into it. That's super extensive. If anyone, I'll just give you a quick gem. If anybody wants to just start buying, and they're looking for opportunities to buy, I would buy when there are red days. And so that might require you to look at the market every day. Like if you want Apple, check Apple every day and see what the high and the low is, and just wait for a red day. I'll give you the red days right now. The red days are in March, June, September, and December, the third Friday. Those are the red days.
Guys, just so you know, so when you look at these numbers, right, it's either going to show you plus and a number, and that's green, minus and a number, and it's red, right? So when we talk about red days, there happens to be some days where the whole market is down. Everything is down because the Dow is down, the S&P is down, the NASDAQ is down, everything is down. Those are the days that you want to go ahead and spend a little bit of money and go ahead and get in there because you're going to be able to buy it at a cheaper amount. Or if you're already invested, red days are good for buying more of what you already have. And if it hasn't gone up too much, obviously, if it's still teetering or whatever around that same amount that you spent on, you want to go ahead and buy some more only to lower your cost. So if you bought at 10 and now it's red and it's at 7, buy more, right? And lower the cost because it's easier for that to go from 7 to 8. Let's say you take your 10, you buy it at enough to lower it down to 8, right? It's easier for you to make your money back at 9 and some money than for you to get back to 10. Right? It's basically that. It's the law of averages, right? So just bring the average price per share down. If you follow me on Twitter and you see me ever say lowering average PPS, I'm talking about lowering the average price per share. It's one of the things that's super important. Don't look at red days like, oh, I'm going to sell this shit and jump out the window. Don't do that. Because if that was the case, I would have sold all my Tesla shares and I would have lost thousands of dollars already, and things like that. You want to just do enough research and invest enough money so that you're not making emotional and erratic decisions. Take advantage of red days and celebrate the green days for sure.
I'm sure that most people in here have heard the name Warren Buffett.
Yes.
Warren Buffett is like, quote unquote master investor. And I have my opinions. I'm not gonna talk too much about Warren Buffett. I think he's great. The reason why he's so successful is because he just buys all the time. Just buys. It's a green day, buys. Red day, but he just keeps buying. He's been buying for so long. He's been buying for 8,000 years. Of course, he's a master investor, right? And then he buys in companies that pay dividends, like dividend stocks. So if I own 10,000 shares, every 3 months I get paid $100 back. He takes that $100 and he just keeps buying with it, and it just compounds, right? Warren Buffett says to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy when others are fearful. And what that means is when the market's when the market's terrible and it's doing super bad and it's a red day and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm losing all this money. That's your opportunity. That's your opportunity to snipe whatever it is that you're looking for. You snipe it on the low, cop it for cheap. And now you got it better. You got it for even if you already own it, buy more. Like use that opportunity as a red day, as a low price to buy it. And when others are when things are running hot and the market's super green and everyone's making money and we're all like, yeah, we're the best investors in the world because we bought it at 10 and now it's at 12. And you seen that meme of DJ Khaled in the backseat with the wind blowing in his shirt because he bought it at 10 and now it's at 12, right? And he's feeling that euphoria, right? When everyone that you hear talking about the stock market's like, yo, it's so high, we're making so much money. That's when you start scaling your position out. That's when you start selling, taking some profits. If you have 12 shares, maybe you sell 2 of them and you put a little bit of cash on the side because the red day is coming, right? The market, just like everything else, it goes in cycles. It goes up and down. And so when you're up, and the best investors do this, some of the best investors that I follow, and I'm going to go real quick and you guys can hit me up in DM and we'll talk about it more, is Kathy Wood, who runs ARK Invest. This kid, he's like 22 years old. His name is Anthony Ohayon. I look up to him. He's super smart, super diligent with his research. And then Warren Buffett, yeah, for sure, whatever, right? Warren Buffett, whatever. There's a bunch of younger guys too. There's a guy Gerald Peters who's really good. Mark Monroe, which anyone who's on here, go on YouTube right now and type in the Come Up series. He'll make you a millionaire straight up, right? Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And just do what they do. Like when things go up, they start trimming their position, and when things go down, they start building their position. And that way, like it's really, the market is a battlefield, and it's not a battle between you and anybody else. It's a battle between your left ear and your right ear, right? It's just a battle of the mind. And once you conquer your own mind, then you start to see these red days. Like these red days used to kill me, bro. And now I'm like, I lose $2,000 in a day, and I'll be like, all right, well, what are we buying?
But the truth of the matter is that even if you're losing that money, right? Because some people are going to look at it and say, and that's part of the reason why I'll always say, like, truly diversify your portfolio. It's true. right? Invest in different things, invest in different industries, because sometimes when that market goes, when one industry goes up, another one goes down, right? You don't want to be all in one thing. Look into these different things that you're interested in, whether it's media, tech, textile, automotive, aviation, invest in a weapons company, oil, steel, aeronautics, whatever you want, whatever you're interested in. If you like astrology, guess what? Go find the poppin' ass telescope company, right? That's making the crazy technology for the next telescopes that are about to come out. Like whatever it is that you're interested in, because it's going to make it easier for you to understand what's happening in that industry, what's happening in that sector, because you're naturally going to be inclined to following that, right? I think that's super important versus just like going ahead and just investing in things because your friends told you. Like
Right.
you should really have an understanding of what you're investing in, right? You should actually like it. You should have some sort of, like I don't fucking sit there and watch sports all day long, but I like basketball, I like baseball, I watch the Super
Exactly.
fuck the NFL. So what did I do? I invested in DraftKings, right? Like I can't invest in the NBA or the NFL or the MLB, but DraftKings is on the market. Great. Now people can go ahead and gamble, and I can gamble on the fact that you're going to gamble more, and I'm going to go ahead and make some money off of that. The things that you like, right, truly look into them. And one of those things of defeating the red day, right, is, for example, there's days that it's odd, right? The two that are green are the electric vehicle stocks. It's NIO and Tesla, and everything else is red. But because these things, or it'll be NIO, actually tech. So NIO, Peloton, and fucking Tesla, right? These shits will all be green. And because I'm so invested in that, and because the total gain percentage is already so high for me because because of when I got in, right? Whatever that was, whatever date that was, everything could be red. And I still make money for the day. It doesn't matter, right? But again, just because it's red today doesn't mean it's going to be red every day. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, is diversifying your shit, investing in things that you actually like, right? And that you're going to naturally be inclined to following, right? Disruptions in industry. Diversify things that you like, disruptions in industry. Don't panic if there's a red day. Try to understand why there's a red day. What happened? What's the news? What is going on in the world that's making this sector like just be red for today and tomorrow? Maybe 3 days in a row. Who the fuck knows?
Exactly.
You
You know
know,
what's
like
interesting? The day of the Capitol riots, it was January 6th, and I took a position in NEO on an options play, and I
and
was
you
up like I was up. I think at that point I was up like 80% or something, or maybe more. And that day, the whole entire market put in like 4 red candles. Pretty much took a massive dip, massive dip. And then and when the news came out, and then like they realized that that everything had been under control at some point, and then the market just went right back up. And imagine if I would have sold my position when it went down, right? The next day, I think there was somebody, one of the Democratic senators, who they need their vote in order to pass these things with majority. He was opposed to doing a $2,000 stimulus,
right.
and so when that news came out, the market took a dive just like this. And the same thing, and just like after like 30 minutes, it just bounced right back up. So when you see those red days, there's always a catalyst for it. There's always a reason why the market's going down. And usually it's an overreaction. Usually it's people like, now understanding what's going on, let me just get out of my position. Oh, there's a little red candle. I see that someone's selling. I'm getting nervous. I'm gonna start selling. Now you're gonna start selling. This person sells. That person sells. Everyone's selling. It goes down. What did I do? I bought. Right? You always buy. You always just buy. Like don't get shaken out. Just buy. Right?
But
I want to touch on something that you mentioned. People are gambling on DraftKings, and so you can safely gamble on people gambling. Right?
right.
So when you're buying shares and taking ownership in these companies, it's much less of a gamble, especially if you're doing your diligence and you're saying, all right, let me see what this company is about. Like you're not gonna just buy something blindly. Sometimes
No,
we buy things. Sometimes we buy things because like someone who we trust will say, "Yo, buy whatever," right? And we'll do it, and and if we're vested, then we'll look into it. We'll start researching what it is, and we'll start going. We'll buy it like off the strength. We'll buy it because I trust this person. But then after I bought it, I'm gonna go look into it and say, what does this company do? Who's their clientele? What's their market share in their space? Who do they serve? What are their plans for growth? Right? Things like that. when you prepare yourself like that, you're no longer gambling, right? If you take a position in something that someone just told you buy some shit,
Right.
it's probably a gamble until you
Right.
prepare yourself with the
Right.
knowledge that and
Sure.
then you do your research and you know what, let me buy some more, yo. It went up, but let me buy some more because I trust this
Well, I
company.
definitely said gamble on your gambling in a very lighthearted way. But
Yeah.
yes, absolutely right. If you're not doing your Googles, right, or gaining any type of knowledge and seeing what's going on and what are the analysts saying and what are the numbers telling you, right? Like how can this change things, right? How can this disrupt the sports betting industry, right? How is DraftKings, or any other app like that, or platform like that, how are they going to disrupt this industry? Does it have legs to grow? Are people really going to use this? Like, how much money did they generate before they even hit the market? Like, there's so many things to look at, right? There's so many things to look at in terms of anything and everything, right? So when you look at it, yes, if you're not educated in any capacity and you didn't do your Googles or do the knowledge god on like what can potentially happen here, then you're gambling. But if not, then it's a calculated risk, it's an educated risk, right? Because we don't know, right? We don't know. There's certain things that we know they're not going to disappear. Back to my Amazon story, I wish I would have fucking bought it. Shouts to I should have listened. But yeah, it's I only say gambling because you can lose. I say gambling because you can actually invest without doing your research. And I don't think that smart in any capacity. Even if you don't, I don't suggest investing in a company that you haven't done the research, but at the very least, whatever site you're using, look at the 1 day, the 3 days, the 5 days, the 6 months, the 1 year, the 3 year, the all, and see where it's going. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it going down and there's some type of like cash injection that's going to bring it back up? Did it go down and they're developing new product that's going to, contribute to another disruption in the industry? What is happening with this particular business? What are they doing that you feel like, oh shit, nah, they dipped, but look, this is what they're working on, and I think that can go ahead and change this industry. I feel like that can be a major, affect this sector in a major way because they're going to be the first ones to do it. Back to the race is on. Low key, the race is on for who's going to have the first marijuana beer on the market. Is it going to be Budweiser? Is it going to be Corona? Right? The race is on secretly. They're just not talking about it because the shit hasn't been developed yet. Right? It makes no sense for them to talk about it. They're not going to start marketing it because the product is not ready. These companies know what the fuck they're doing. And I'm okay with investing in a company that's tied to Corona. It's one of the top beer companies in the world. I'm okay with investing in a company that's tied to Budweiser. It's the fucking number one beer company probably in America, or Anheuser-Busch, or whatever the fuck it is, right? Mm-hmm. But it's one of those, and it's like, all right, cool. It's a calculated risk. Understand who you're getting in bed with. Understand who you're spending, what horse you're putting your money on, right? And it's even safer than that because fuck, like, right? The horse, the gates could open. The horse could be like, I'm not running today, right? But this is all calculated. There's numbers. There's a lot of data that backs up a lot of these moves. And, truly, guys, for everybody watching, really invest in things that you like. It's going to make it easier because you're naturally inclined to follow that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I think I saw Evie was watching, right? Evie just started a candle company, right? Person like me that's curious about the market or whatever, I would start looking into who's the leading wax manufacturer for fucking candles that makes wax for these companies, right? Who's the fucking number one company that makes the wicks, right? And see, because it's not so much always about the company directly, it's about who this company is ordering tens of thousands and millions of goods from.
I am very happy you said this.
That's a lot of what it is that,
because when the gold rush occurred in San Francisco in 1947 or 1949 or whatever year it was, 1949, the people who were mining for gold, some of them got rich, but the people who were selling picks and shovels for sure got rich.
Exactly.
right? So you think
Exactly.
about the industries, you think about these industries that are disrupting, and you think about who they're partnered with, right? That's why semiconductors. So if anyone wants to throw money like into something that's relatively safe and you know it's going to make you a lot of money, I'll tell you what it is right now. It's the ticker symbol is SMH. It's a semiconductor ETF, and ETF is an electronically traded fund. All that is I have $1 billion. I want to invest in these 25 companies with my $1 billion, and I want to take my fund of $1 billion that I invest in 25 companies, and I want to put it public on the market so that now you can invest in my fund, and now we together can invest into these 25 companies, right? That's an ETF. There's a bunch of them, and I can list a bunch of them after this for anyone that doesn't know. And SMH, based on everything that's going on in the world, right? You have to think about what this company is, just any company, right? Apple. How many iPhones are there? They just had the new phone that just released. There's
The
a
new
super
shit
cycle.
looks.
The new M1 chip which just came out. The
Mm-hmm.
super cycle, which means people are just they went from their 8 plus to now their 12 Max Pro, right? The Apple Fitness was just launched. The Apple TV Plus was just launched. The increase in market share in iPads, which they only mentioned in passing, the increase in market share in Apple, like all these things, right? And plus, people bought Apple products for their family for the holidays, right?
Right.
And they have earnings coming up next Wednesday. Next Wednesday's Apple's earnings.
Good. Good.
So I know that all of these things are going on with Apple. I know that based on like the events in the world, people were locked in. People wanted to upgrade people wanted to spend money on phones, right? They took that stimmy and they bought a new phone or whatever. I know Apple's going to do well, right? I know Apple's partnered with some semiconductor companies for their phones and for some of their tech. And
Sure.
so I know that the semiconductor companies are forever going to do well, right?
Well,
Um,
that right. It's like the for example, let's take a car company. Let's take fucking Tesla. Tesla doesn't manufacture their own tires,
nope.
right? Toyota doesn't manufacture their own tires. So think about it. If you sell, for example, if you sell 1 million cars, that tire company sold 4 million tires. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like all of these things, you also have to look at who supplies the goods. Apple does not manufacture the phones. They hire a company that has factories that manufacture the phones, right? And these parts come from different companies. There's bidding wars to see who's going to make the screen, who's going to make the glass, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. Apple ain't producing none of that shit. They're designing it. They're creating the software that runs it. Then you have the manufacturers, right? So it's a lot of that, because sometimes, and the reason why I bring that up is because sometimes you look at it and say, damn, that Tesla stock is expensive. But maybe another company that they source goods from isn't as expensive, right? And that's very, very, very important, right? Maybe you don't want to, or you can't afford a stock in, I don't know, man, Chipotle, right? Because it's like $1,400 or $1,500.
Crazy. Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
cool. Find who they're getting their beef and pork and chicken from, and maybe you can invest in them. Like, it's all these things. But I got to dip because I got to go handle something and run last minute errands. But I appreciate everybody for pulling up. You can DM Huey, you could DM me. Let us know if you would like us to do this. Probably maybe like once a month or whatever, so we're not saturating or whatever. And please, guys, disruptions in industry, invest in things that you like. Don't be scared. You guys are gonna be all right.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your time in doing this. It's super important. The whole point of this, guys, for anyone that joined late, is we're looking to normalize putting money into the market, even if like our families or like people that we know have had negative experiences. Me personally, I want the next generation, any little bros, any of our younger cousins, my daughter, like I want, by the time my daughter is old enough to like understand what's going on, I want this to be a norm for her. Like, we just invest. That's what we do. We're investors. We just invest, right? It's our job to do all the legwork in order for it to be a norm for them, right? And no fault to our parents. Like, our parents just came from a different time, and a lot of us are lucky enough that our parents put us on. And for the rest of us who aren't, like, it's up to us, right? And we got to educate ourselves. We got to go out there and inform ourselves, and just take a leap of faith. Like, it's not that serious. Spend $100, it'll go up, and if it goes down, buy some more until it goes up, right?
Yeah.
Danny just said CCIV, and I'm gonna stay on for a little bit to take some more questions. Sid, I appreciate you jumping on though for sure.
No, for sure. One of the things, just because you mentioned, like, Ava, like my homegirl, she actually, I saw that she posted something about a story where she basically just started, her daughter just turned 4. So she's a year older than Ava, and she has a portfolio already in her own team, right? And I reached out to her and I was like, yo, you should check out M1 since you're doing this for your daughter. And it's probably going to be for her when she turns 18 or 21 or whatever the case may be. Because instead of you having to be active and this, that, and the other and whatever, that's okay. But you should set this thing up separately that you can put on autopilot, that it can just be. And I told her, what the FANG stocks were, and it's like, yo, here. So if there's any, parents out there, like, and you really want to give your kids the head start that our parents couldn't give us because either they didn't have the education on it, they didn't have the financial resources for it, whatever the case may be, yo, start now. It's one thing for you to be like, yeah, when I was a kid, it was a Christmas club, right? You would go to the bank and set up a Christmas club bank account for your kids so you can save money throughout the year and whatever, and then Christmas will come and it would be easier to buy them gifts or whatever the case may be, right? But obviously they don't do that. I don't think they do that anymore. But anyway, for the parents that are watching, like, truly create this portfolio for your child so that it's not about you saving $10,000 or 15 or 20 or 50 or 100 for the time that they're ready to go to college. Because if you think about it, if you could save $50,000 in the next 18 years by the time your kid's ready to go to college, if you could invest that slowly, that 50,000 will be a whole lot more money over the course of the next 18 years. And you can literally just drip money into that little by little using these types of apps. I would recommend M1. I would also recommend that it's not an app that you can go ahead and download and figure out. Go online. There's 1,000,000,001 tutorials. If you need help finding one, you can DM me. I'll share the link to the one that I use that helped me a lot. I thought I could figure it out on my own, and it's damn near impossible. But once you get it rolling, you don't have to do anything. If you want to stop the transfer of funds into it on a weekly basis, you can just go ahead and stop it. If you want to lower the amount, raise the amount, whatever, I've stopped it. I've turned it back on. I've doubled the amount for a couple weeks. I stopped it again. I lowered it. Like, you can manipulate it however you want in any capacity, and you'll see that you'll own 0.21 shares of this, and then you'll look in a couple months, and before you know it, you got 2 shares that are worth $400, $500 a piece, and you're like, yo, how did that happen? Right? And it's not because you saved $800. You probably put in enough money for that to grow to be worth that. So definitely, guys, for the parents in the room, please, like, definitely get into creating a portfolio for your child. It's going to be a blessing in disguise. You're not going to feel it. And before you know it, you're going to turn around and your kid's college education is going to be paid for. And if you don't ever get to that point because your kids are malcriado, just go to Bali and ball out. Don't worry about it. But yo, I love you, my brother. I'm out of here.
I love you, bro. Appreciate you.
Hit me when you're done. Let's talk.
All right, cool.
Everybody have a good night. I'll see y'all soon.
So, and I'll ask him. I know. Billy asked what the app is called. But you could do the same thing with Robinhood, right? My boy Juan is in here, and he invests in this ticker symbol. It's called ARKG. Actually, I think he does ARKG and ARKK, and those are 2 ETFs, right? Electronically traded funds. So those are companies that, or there's one company that invests in a certain sector, right? So ARKG is a genomic sector, and so what he does is every time he gets a paycheck, it automatically takes, I don't know, $50, $100, $150, whatever, out of his paycheck, and automatically invests into ARKG, and it buys whatever amount of ARKG that $150 or $50 or whatever it is can buy him, right? I know that Robinhood does it. You can buy fractional shares in Robinhood, and so, like, if you don't have $885 to invest in one Tesla share, you can spend $80 and buy 1/10 of a Tesla share, right? And, like, you can just build that up little by little by little. Yeah, Billy, for sure. Vivian, yes, this will be saved. This will be saved. I hope that a lot of people, watch this, because people hit me up with like super basic questions, and they're basic when you have the knowledge, and when you don't have the knowledge, it's like, yo, like, who do I ask? Like, how do I get informed, right? So I want to reach as many people as possible. Juan, if you're on this, jump on. I want to ask you some questions, bro. And there's some people in my options trading groups here, which is a little bit more complicated. You know, it's a little more risky, and you really have to be more in tune. But for me personally, like, the best way to start is just say, which company do I want to invest in? Can I afford an entire share or not? If I can, great, I'll buy a whole share. If not, then I'm just gonna start putting money into it, right? Little by little by little, every week, just invest $50 or whatever it is that you can spare. And so like Sid mentioned earlier about the contrast between like a savings account, right, versus the market. So savings accounts are giving you like a really super low yield, like super duper low. I think they're like 0.05 or maybe 0.5% yield or something like that. Yeah. So you're putting your money in a bank, and so you're putting your money in the bank, and you're hoping that the bank can give you a return on your investment for you parking your money there. So they'll give you 0.5% over the course of 1 year. So, you know, for if you have $100 in there, you're gonna get 50 cents for that whole year, right? If you have $1,000, you're gonna get $5 for that whole year. And what they're doing is they're taking your money and they're lending it out for 60% yield, 30% yield, right? So they're making 30% of your money, and you're only making a 0.5 point, right? So I think it's probably better, right, to take control and say, you know what, I'm gonna take this money, I'm gonna do my research, and this is why research counts. And you can start anywhere, right? You don't gotta deep dive the way that I do every day. You can just jump on a website, go to Yahoo Finance, which is great, or even just do a quick Google search and type in, you know, Apple stock, right? Tesla stock, Google stock, and let it be a company that you think, if you're just starting out, let it be a company that you think that isn't going anywhere, right? Let it be a company that you know for a fact that they're disrupting. Let it be a company that you know for a fact is only going to grow, right? Disney was a good example because Disney, as we know, Disney has the rights to all of these movies and theme parks and all that stuff, and really, it was only a matter of time until they needed to pivot. So Disney's a major revenue source of Disney was Disney Park, Disneyland, Disney World. There's no Disney Park, right? But whatever, they're theme parks around the world, and everything being shut down killed them, obviously, right? It killed a major arm in their revenue source, right? And so they pivoted. What did they do? They went into streaming services, right? They took all these things that they already owned, which I'm sure they were already working on, but COVID definitely accelerated it, right? They took all of these things that they owned, all of these everything that they've produced, all their productions, all their products, and they said, let's make it available for people to subscribe to on a monthly basis, and they can watch the whole catalog, right? And that's what they did, and like their stock, I think, doubled in like from the COVID crash till now. I think it's for sure 2x. It might have even 3x, right? And so like, you got to think about it like that. You know, I know Apple's not going anywhere. For anyone who's not aware, Apple's thinking about getting into the automotive space, right, with electric vehicles. And so me knowing that about Apple, and just me knowing what Apple is and seeing how they've evolved with just owning their products over time, and just constantly watching their keynotes and just following them through actual ownership, you know that they're not going anywhere. They're only getting better and better and better, right? And so like, Apple's a safe investment to me, and Apple will probably make me more money than me putting my money in a savings account will, right? Like, Apple, even if it gives me a 1% on a year, it's still double what the savings account is going to give me, right? And it's a little bit, it's less of a, I'm not gonna say that it's safe, right? Because everything can go to zero probably, right? Like in this world, but and it'll definitely take you on more of a roller coaster ride. Like, you put the money there and it kind of goes up and down, right? And you got to watch it go up and down. And like, the battle is, don't sell it when it's down, right? Just don't sell it. Just keep adding to it. Keep building your position, because if you look at the markets, if you look at like a 1 year chart on the S&P 500, the chart goes up like this, and then it does a massive dive when COVID hit, and then it came up like this, and then it did like a little bit of a correction, and now it's approaching that all-time high again, right? But if you were to look at, that's 1 year. If you were to look at that 1 year on a 20-year time frame, you might see a little blip, a tiny small correction, maybe. Otherwise, it just goes up in a straight line. And so that's why you got to just constantly build your position, constantly add. Don't get shaken out by the fear, right? I see a question in here. So Prime Tres, not sure if you answered, how does investing impact taxes? So when you, and this is why you want to You want to buy and build. And my suggestion to anyone who's getting started is just buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and never sell, right? I just want to look at the comments real quick. And thank you guys for pulling up. And, and obviously many of you are already in the market. And if you're not, then welcome. And, dip your toe in. Dip your toe in. It's fun in here. The water's fine. Apple will probably lead the way with innovation in hearing aids. I mean, I have a hearing aid in my ear right now, right? Like when I'm on the train, I turn it on. I turn it on to see what the world is doing, and then I turn it off to like just kind of chill and hang out, right, and be in my own world. Apple's going into tech really heavy. A lot of us have Apple Watches, which tracks our heart rate. A lot of us use the Apple Watch as a fitness tool, right? If you're using Fitness Plus, then it synchronizes with your Apple Watch, and you kind of know like what's going on. It counts your steps. Also, your phone counts your steps. If you go into your health app in your phone, actually, if you have an iPhone, that's one of the most comprehensive and robust apps available. And it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy the amount of information and data that you can acquire, that the phone can acquire from you. And that's why there's always these questions about like privacy and all this stuff. And I'm not concerned with that. Me and Mel, for those who don't know Mel, that's my wife. We were having a conversation yesterday about the vaccine, and we were just joking about how they're gonna put microchips in us or whatever. And it's like, yo, my phone is tracking me. The cameras on the corners are tracking me. Like, everyone knows, the government or whoever knows where I'm at all times, so it doesn't matter, right? And so like Apple having this robust information, the ability to like track, it's like a life alert, right? That woman who says I'm falling and I can't get up. Apple, the iPhone is like a new age life alert, right? I think they're getting into the healthcare space much more heavily. And so they're a company that, again, I agree, they're not going anywhere. Let me see. Any insights on crypto? Yeah, crypto. So crypto's a mixed bag for me. I have a small position in crypto that I'm building, and this is going to bring me to a point that I wanted to mention earlier. I'm going to mention it now. I'm waiting for a crypto pullback, the inevitable pullback, right? Like, I know that at some point, I think today is at like 36,000 per coin. I think, and obviously it was like 18K just 2 months ago. So it went 100% in just 2 months, right? In a year, I think it went I think it was at like 8K or 9K just a year ago, right? So it went crazy. So the thing with crypto is people are scared that it's kind of a bubble. If you were familiar with crypto in 2018, it was at 18K, and then it went from 18 down to like 7K in like a month, right? So people are scared of it. The banks are adopting crypto. PayPal and Square are adopting crypto. Overstock.com, you can pay with crypto. And so as more companies and more institutions that we're already familiar with adopt crypto as a currency, and as more companies use blockchain technology to transfer, for transfer of information, etc., it's just going to become stronger, more stable, more reliable, right? More trustworthy. And I have a minute and a half left. So I'll take one more question. Banks, financial institutions, big banks are actually saying we're going to start putting money in crypto. And so you see these massive spikes. Ethereum, ETH is at an all-time high. I have a small position in Ethereum and BTC, and I actually have a super small position in DOGE because I think that's just a joke. You don't want to be the person that misses the boat. I'm not saying FOMO into crypto. I'm saying, maybe test the waters and do your research. At the end of the day, just do all your research and see what it is. Joanne said, I bought Dogecoin at 0.0019. It came up to 0.0091. So he went pretty much 500% on his investment. MasterCard, Visa, JP Morgan each filed 25 patents in blockchain tech last year. So that tells you that blockchain is not going anywhere, right? All that tells you that they're integrating blockchain into their services, into their environment, into their ecosystem. That's only going to make Bitcoin stronger. Actually, it's going to make Ethereum way, way stronger. I have 15 seconds left, guys. Billy, thank you for pulling up. Guys, thank you for pulling up. My DMs are open for anybody. Please come through. I think we're going to do this again. I'm going to talk to Sid. Thank you guys for pulling up. I have 5 seconds left. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. I'm just going to end it now. Peace, guys.
Well, for everybody that stuck around for the entire 2 hours, thank you so much. You're the true MVP. I hope that you found value in this video. For anyone who's heavily invested in the market already and you just want to get some people involved, send this over to them. It might answer some of their questions, right? If you guys are interested in any future content like this, or you want to give me some feedback, make sure to engage with me down in the comment section below. And I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. Peace. So check it out. We went over how we get started in this. Yeah.
Because people are texting me like, make sure he saved it. It's so good.
Is it?
I watched it in the shower, watched it in his bedroom.
Dañate.
Yeah, it's really good.
We're gonna go for a little bit more.
Did you restart?
Yeah.